Awesome. Well, welcome to Trending Topics with BB, which is my podcast, Isaac, or Fisherman, as everybody knows you. Before we get into it, I do want to remind people to check out, the website, and also I will put up the description to Fisherman's website and stuff with this episode. So feel free to reach out if you have questions directly to him. But welcome again, and I'm want to first start with how your journey into electronic dance music started, because I started following you when you were Fisherman in Hawkins, and now you're just Fisherman, so it's been a journey. So uh, please start with kind of like your background and your love for music, because I know with your vinyl collection, it's pretty extensive.
That's true. First of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, where should I start? This is always, well, for now, I think it's 2021 already, which means 20 years already, actually. I started back in 2001. Well, the first time that I got in touch with electronic dance music was already in the 90s anyway, but because here in Holland / Europe and everything, dance music was quite popular on the radio too. You had Eurodance, all kinds of things like Two Bottles on the Fourth Floor. This typical dance stuff here from Eurodance from Holland, and a lot of Dutch producers and bands from that time too. That was actually in the early / mid 90s, I would say, and later in the 90s, I started to listen more and more to mixes on the radio. There was, I think, I don't know if it was 538 back then already here station, but I was a paper boy actually, and what I did was in the 90s I just recorded, of course, what a lot of kids did, with a cassette player. I recorded like a mix show what was on the radio every weekend. I think it was DJ Jean or somebody like that, one of the old now old DJs then. But legends, and I just always recorded these mixes. And the day after, I went, in the neighborhood where I had to deliver the papers, and I was just listening to the tape over and over again. So that's actually how it started. But that was late 90s, and it only took like 2 or 3 years until I was at my first little party here, like a rave, how you could call it now. By accident, actually, because I happened to had a sleepover at a friend of mine, and he told me at some point in the early in the night, he was like, "You are supposed to." What I thought, he was supposed to go to the city, just to have some beers and stuff, and just teenager stuff, like when you're 15. And all of a sudden, he was like, "Oh, I completely forgot, but I have to do the lights at some local club here." He did this in his free time, just as a hobby. He was a light jockey, or how you call this. And I was like, okay, so where is this? Yeah, Perron 55. That was the club called. And I knew Perron 55 was like a very underground club here for numerous kind of parties, but I'd never been there. So I just happened to be there that night, and a whole new world opened for me, because it was the event was called Technosis. And it was just actually nowadays early hardstyle. That's what you could call it, or hard trance, like Scott Project. That kind of early records were played there by local DJs. So that's how I just got into this. It's a complete new world opened for me, and I was like, wow, what is this sound? I never heard about this. It's so brand new. It's so underground too. It's not on the radio, and that was really new to me, like to hear stuff that was not on the radio. And yeah, after that, I have to hear the main guy that organized it. He worked at a local record shop here. Somebody told me, and the day after, it started for me, and I just ran almost to this record shop to ask him, what did you play there? What are those records called? What is the sound? What is the style? And he just showed me a lot of stuff there, like CDs, and yeah. It only took within that year I started to already buy records, like vinyl, and I think I was like 16, and I started to buy records and start going to parties already. And that's actually the start. Long story, I know, but I always like to tell it, because also this guy is a good friend of mine. The yeah, Erik. This is his name, Erik van Rijswijk, and actually, you have a premiere actually because he is going to do a guest mix as well in the 30-hour stream. So that's going to be
That's
quite amazing.
exciting.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's actually the start, and after that, I was just just fooling around and just playing a lot in my own bedroom at my parents' house, and yeah, it's just getting to feel the music, and it was only until maybe 2005 or 6 that I actually also started to try to make some beats or whatever. That's I cannot even call it producing, but because it was just more for fun and stuff. Um, yeah, just that's how it is. It took me like 20 years to come where I am right now. So that's how you can say it. Yeah.
Other than like hearing music that you normally weren't aware of or that it was more underground, what drew you to trance specifically? Because everybody has their kind of moment when they become a trance fan, and it's
Mm,
pretty deep. So what drew you to
yeah.
trance?
Yeah, that must have been like 1999, 2000, and it was the start of the trance energy and the sensation time actually at Inner City. Um, yeah, it was that time. It was Super Strings. It was on the radio, and Rank One, Airwave. These tracks, and you just couldn't here in Holland. You couldn't miss it because it was everywhere. And but yeah, that took like 2 years, and then I was drawn more towards the harder sounds. Like the hard style, like. Yeah, Techno Boy, Dana, Scott Project, that kind of sound. And because I just, for some reason, I like the trance, but at some point it was not badass enough or something. Maybe just I was 16, felt more like a rebel. Trance was more dreamy, and I just wanted to go more like more banging stuff. And so I ended up more towards the hard style. And at some point in start of like mid 2002, that was also not hard enough for me anymore, and it became also a little bit too commercial for some reason. Everything sounded the same. So then I went even to hardcore, industrial, terror, Frenchcore, um, crazy stuff, really underground stuff. I still have some vinyl from that as well. It's quite funny sometimes with the random sexy vinyl pick when these vinyl get picked. And that was actually till yeah, till 2005, I think, because then it was Marcus who came. I got completely, for some reason, I don't even know how I found out about his sound or about Marcus, because before that I didn't even know about Marcus Schultz. But it was 2005 that I heard this Miami what is it called, Harbor Selections 2004, this compilation, which was
Yeah.
a really Miami kind of sound, really mellow. I mean, it's so mellow if you compare it with the recent Marcus Schultz stuff but it was so good. It was just such a refreshing sound that I just that got me back into trance for sure, 100%. And the funny story is that the first time that I saw Marcus actually perform, I was super looking forward to it, and he played at, I think he was supposed to play here at the Trans Energy 2007, I think in also Utrecht or somewhere else. And I was so much looking forward to that, to hear that style that I was, that I knew from him. And he banged it out like crazy. It was the first time that I heard it, and he was just somewhere in the middle of the night and just banging it out with stuff that I didn't know that to expect that, So it was quite interesting, because I was really expecting this Miami sound, but it's completely different. So it really took me like a year to get used to this more banging sound too, and then I was just sold after that, of course. Yeah.
Did you know then that you wanted to be part of the Cold Harbor family, or was that a
Yeah,
longer
yeah. I don't
longer?
know. It was later on, I would say. Yeah, definitely. I was a big fan of the label because it was definitely a dream to, uh, at some point, to do something with them. It always, I kept it in my mind, of course, but that would be, yeah, super massive to belong to such a team like that, and especially back then in 2007 and later on, there was such a now if you look at it back, then such a legendary releases they had. Yeah, Cold Harbor since then, and also nowadays they really have really strong releases, and yeah, they are called legendary for a reason, in my opinion. And but it was, I think, only until, yeah, like I started with producing around 2010, more the trance producing, and slowly I started to focus more on on that specific sound, to just trying
Right.
to achieve it.
And like I said, like I knew you when you were with Hawkins. So when did that collaboration and then kind of lead you to the Cold Harbor fam happen? I know you were friends, right? And just
Yeah,
kind of,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we were good friends. Also from we met through partying always here at this local club where I already went since 2001. It's still that same club, and which is actually for a lot of people that live in Venlo here, which is a small city. Um, and all the villages around it, that was the only club that we had here, um, that played cool music, because obviously you had like the city was just the pubs and the bars, and they all play the radio music, what is popular at the moment. But it was that club which was, you know, everything happened there, like techno to hardstyle to electro, and yeah, we met through Peron 55 a couple times, and yeah, it was. Oh yeah, we had this unexpected back to back. That's how we always call it. But it was true. We were supposed to play both, and then something happened there that we had to play back to back, and it was so much fun. And we had the same kind of humor, so we just clicked. It was just a really good chemistry there. And yeah, after that we just met up even more. At each other's places and just hanging out and just yeah, it was. Then we just started to create some things together, just for fun actually, and to come also more to come up with a more professional plan. Also, we really wanted to achieve certain goals, so we put down what we wanted to achieve in a year from now. So more thinking also more professionally about what we wanted to do within a certain amount of time. Yeah.
can I ask why you're no longer together as a
Yeah,
duo?
sure. Well, it is nothing personal, actually. I just felt like it was time for a new thing in my life, actually, for the musical career. But because I had a lot of fun with Rob, also with touring, but to be a new coming DJ duo in the trance, it's not easy. You have very successful artists, like that are duos like Cosmic Gate or W&W, but Cosmic Gate have already been there since the 90s, so they have been there forever already, and they just made a name throughout those 10, 15 years, 20 years uh, at that moment. And W&W, they just, yeah, it was like a machine. These guys, they were so driven, and so they just made the right choices. And sometimes it was not easy to see how to get there at the same stage, even though that we had a really good buzz going, I would say, especially in 2014, 15, and even 16 also was a really good year. Um, but I don't know, for some reason, 2017 felt a little bit like it was an off year, and it just really felt to me, yeah, it was just time for something new. I think that's how it felt, and it was quite a tough decision. It took me like a year to finally decide to, that I just wanted to continue on my own. So there's nothing personal. We are still really good friends. He's also going to come here also again on the 27th.
Nice.
So, but he also, the thing is that Rob really, I always told him, like, in this scene, in this industry, you need to go for 1,000%. For 1,000%, you need to go for this dream, for this goal, and not for less, almost. Because it's really hard work, and it needs to be the only thing you want to do. And yeah, you need to be on the same page together then, especially if you're a duo. And it was not always like that, and for certain reasons, it was nothing. We didn't have arguments or whatever, but just the thing with duos, you need to be on the same page, and yeah, sometimes I would just like I said wasn't, and so that's why I decided to maybe it's better just to try it on my own. Also because I'm such a control freak, and if I'm on my own, I'm working for my own, and then it's just I don't have to push anybody, to do this or just do more your best for this or so. I'm my own boss, and if I don't manage to get something done, then it's my own fault. I'm the only one to blame, and I just felt like maybe that's what I need instead of, also all the time taking care of somebody else, and
And
that's
about,
it.
yeah, when that happened, was that about the time that you and Nifra met and like decided back to backs for a thing and became the duo that
Yeah,
you are?
maybe. Well, Nicole and I, we already met before that. Actually, it was like the first time that we met was actually during the Apache release party that we did in 2013, and so we already knew each other since then. And but yeah, definitely like the back to backs that we do very occasionally. We don't want to do it too often because it takes away the the how do you say this, like the we don't want it to become a normal thing,
Right.
so but there's definitely a lot of fun, and yeah, yeah,
And what's it been like, producing together from that, you know? Because you guys
yeah.
had some really great releases in the last few years that everybody loves in the trance scene. So, what has it been kind of putting your styles together to create
Yeah,
something like that?
of course it's a lot of fun too. I wish we could do this even more often because we work basically from the same spots here in the house. Upstairs, downstairs, whatever. Wherever we want to work. So, but we're so busy with so many things, like for our own things, and also helping out each other, with certain things like social media or with all kinds of things. That's also what we like. We have the same passion. We are driven the same way. um, yeah, so but sometimes because of all these side things, um, it's such a which can be very busy. Then it's almost a shame that we don't have much more time to just really be in the studio and make even more collabs. We wish that we would be we would have more time for that too, but it's not always easy. That's
Mhm.
why we want to do like one or two collabs. That should be possible in a year, and that's also what we are still working on for also for this year, of course. And at the moment, we are busy with so many things, like for example, artist albums. We're both thinking about that right now, also working on stuff. So yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, I think Nifra mentioned on her episode about her artist album. So, that's exciting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So, let's talk about Twitch because you guys have blown up on Twitch and it's amazing. And I know you did a 24-hour stream. Was it November now? I don't remember. December.
December, yeah.
And then you're getting ready to do a 30-hour for your birthday celebration coming up
Yeah.
in a
I'm
couple.
already getting tired thinking about it.
But what has Twitch, because never talked about how Twitch has been great for her. What do you agree that like the love that you get on Twitch and just the ability to do these shows and even, I mean, you've played so much vinyl, and I love that like vinyl is still a thing that we can do in
Mm.
2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
So talk about your experience on Twitch and how it's been for you.
I think it's the best thing that could happen to us. 100%. We were so lucky to find out about it. We heard already, even before Corona. We heard already about Twitch, and we saw Ruben posting about it every now and then, and it was always something that was like somewhere on our radar, but we just, again, time was the issue, and we just didn't know how it worked. We knew that we had to dive into it, which takes time. Back then we were just, especially Nico was touring and stuff, and yeah, it was not easy to dive into it because this is something we knew that we need to take time for it to just really understand how this works, and probably also invest, which means, for example, we before that we didn't even have our own gear at home, so we never played at home because we didn't have to, we were just touring, we had the gear somewhere else in the club, so we just had the vinyl here and one turntable player, that's what we had. Just to sometimes occasionally just put on a record just for fun and just to, when we had some friends over, just to relax and just to enjoy these old records. This was almost like how it was always. And, when this pandemic hit and the tour, all the shows that were still lined up and planned, that they started to, canceled every now and then, and at some point everything. It was quite a shock, and yeah, we were really happy to find out about this. So we just straight away dove into it, and we put everything on everything to just make it work, And I think we were really, our luck was that we were quite on time, So we straight away at the start we could build quite quickly like a really good fan base there as well, with new fans even also that we before, that you really didn't have like either a connection with or that they were not really fans yet. And thanks to Twitch, we definitely gained a lot of new fans. We grew a really nice community, and we were still now we are still surprised by and we still are sometimes really speechless and by everything that is going on with with this platform. And yeah, I mean it's you can see it, it's for many of the, especially trance DJs, because I don't see any other genres, the DJs playing on Twitch that much. But yeah, it's definitely, it helped a lot with, everything. I mean, I'm not talking only about financially, but it also helped to just keep your mind, keep this positive mind, to stay connected with your fans, to have content, for example, to promote your new music. Twitch has been, for many things, just really and a really perfect outcome, to at least to not do nothing, because that was our biggest fear. We didn't know back then that it would take a year already now, and probably even longer. And we were just thinking at the start this is going to be for 3 months, and then. But even then, we knew, even if it's just for 3 months, this is the perfect time to dive into this, because you never know if you can also use it afterwards. And yeah, I talked also a couple of times with Dave Dresden, and also about this, this part, and he's definitely also on the same page that this will definitely stay after, when the touring comes back and stuff. That this is definitely something which will be really useful, to either promote your music, to sell tickets for your events where you're gonna play, So this is it's you can see it like another social media platform, just like Twitter is or Instagram, but even more powerful, because this is where you can just reach out to your fans a couple times a week. And yeah, I mean, I don't have the amount of viewers that Nifra has, for example, or not even, definitely not what Dave Dresden has. But I'm super happy with the reach, and the good thing is that you can really see that the people are really appreciating it, whatever you do. And I try to stay also, interesting enough, by doing all kinds of things and not just all the time just like sets. I want to do something different. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It's also a lot of work, especially the preparing for long sets. Absolutely. But yeah, what else can we do? It's
Right.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, you also have Airwalk, right? You're the head of Airwalk in those festivals. So do you see a possibility of live streaming at a future Airwalk when that comes back? Like,
Yeah,
and using
absolutely. Yeah.
Twitch to like bring the world
Yeah.
together? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that we also before Corona, that we were already we had already a certain concept which was part of Airwalk, but that also involved streaming, just a little bit like Circle is doing.
Okay.
You know Circle.
Yeah.
That's also what I wanted to do with Trance, and that's still in the on the shelf right now for whenever it's possible again for in the future when we can go to places and with some crowd too. But definitely, I think I had recently a very interesting conversation also with the head of the CEO of Grandswork, the club where I usually do the airwalks, and he was very interested in my already expertise of the streaming part, of doing events and stuff, because they are definitely going to do something like that. Whether it's, I'm not sure if they're going to do this on Twitch, but they definitely are thinking about how can they also offer something like, if they show an event, how can they also make it virtual for people that, for example, live in the States, that they can also enjoy it and just visit the event, and just by watching it online. So yeah, it's definitely something that I think a lot of promoters and clubs are thinking about right now. How can we interpret this also in the future to to more people, to give them opportunity to also to experience something from the event. Because definitely it's an interesting development right now. Yeah.
Do you think, well, this is my opinion, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, but do you think the changes of sets that you've been doing in terms of whether you do final or you do back to back with Nifra, or you guys celebrate your birthdays like you are and doing long ones, do you think the chain has really brought out the love of music for yourself as well as those of us that are watching from home right
Yeah,
now?
yeah, absolutely. We often talk about this here as well, that because of long sets, because of that we you just want to build it up. I always love progressive, and especially the Guy J kind of progressive and
Mm-hmm.
Juna Deep. But with a long set, like if I do just a 12-hour set, then you just build it up from that, and I even close out with uplifting. I don't play all the uplifting because it's just not really my thing. But there is definitely a lot of productions lately that I definitely enjoy to play. Like Will Atkinson kind of stuff sometimes, or
Jackson.
even Daxon is even also kind of almost uplifting these days.
Yeah.
And that's yeah, definitely it's more fun to play all kinds of things. And yeah, the vinyl sets is just something else, and that's something we had. I think before all this, we had like 800, something like 800 vinyl or something, and yeah, like I said, we just played it only like one record here before the pandemic, just like for fun, and just like, oh, remember this record? Oh yeah, I remember it was such a good time when this one came out, and it's
Yeah.
not completely different. We went from having no gear to finally have our own gear, everything like good turntables, like professional gear, and we can finally play all these things. So it's a lot of fun. Also, collecting is so much fun again, just to hunt down these vinyls again and to add to the collection. It's so much fun, absolutely. And sometimes it's just, we play so many of these tunes already that I never was so active playing these tunes, so these vinyls. So we're already at we have to buy more and more so fast already
Yeah.
that's a joke.
But it's a good problem to have, though. I mean, I love that there's been like this new, well, not new, but it's like vinyl's cool again kind of feeling
Yeah,
across music in general. And like
yeah.
the cool thing I think is the fact that you guys have been doing these sets on Twitch, because not just you, but there's some other DJs doing it as well. And I know
Mm,
Carl Cox has been doing it every Sunday. He does, and he has a
mm,
massive collection. And
mm.
so I
Yeah.
think when you guys were all touring, it was, you didn't carry vinyl with you. So it's cool that like
Yeah,
we can see
from
your
home,
love.
so
Yeah.
yeah, you have your collection, just we have it right there, so it's just whatever I do, if I know I have to play 1 hour vinyl in certain block, I know 1 hour vinyl that is 10 records. So it's just we put everything down into our system. Also we put in a certain folder. We put all the tracks that we have, and just based on that, we just select whatever we want to play, and check if it fits well together, and just that's it. And it's just a lot of fun to just and organize it, and to just play it, and to just also just I already play vinyl since 2001, but I played it until maybe and bought records maybe until 2006 or 7, and that's it. After that, I didn't really mix that often anymore. So, but within this year, I just completely got back into it so much that it's just so much fun. And it's something that you, once you know how to do it, you always know how to do it, but you just whenever you get the feeling back, that's such a good feeling. That's crazy, and it's so much fun. And it's indeed, I think half a year ago, I think I also tweeted one time, like whenever this pandemic is over, I want to tour the world with vinyl, because it's so much fun. So
Yeah.
I that's definitely something that I want to do, at least for special occasions. Again, that promoters can, if they want, maybe also book me for a vinyl set, for a trance classic set. I don't care. It's so much fun. I know some DJs don't want to do classic set, because it makes them old, maybe. But I don't give anything about that. It's for special occasions. It would be a lot of fun, and it's all for the love of music, and I like to do that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Like, I do want to touch a little bit more on your upcoming streams. So when this goes out, people will either tune in or see clips from it, or want to tune into the next one. So I know you said earlier that you have some guest mixes happening. After doing the first 24-hour stream, are you approaching it a little bit different coming up? Because, I mean, it's endurance that you have to stay up with all of us all over the world. Like, I will admit I couldn't stay awake the whole time the first time. So it's one of those, and I love just tuning in. But how are you approaching this new one coming up? Because I'm seeing more and more people on Twitch doing longer and longer sets. Like 12 hours is nothing to a lot of people now. Like, I know Doc Brown, a friend of mine who's been on the podcast, he does 12 hours every Sunday. So it's like the 24-hour or longer is like endurance. So talk about like how you're
12 hours. I think the last time that I did 12 hours in January was like because I want to do once per 2 months. I want to do an extended, which is like longer than 12 hours. And then in the other month after that, in between, I want to do a 12-hour set. But the last time, the 12 hours was quite heavy, because I didn't take the chair with me, which I had with the 24 hours, which was a really good tip from Ruben. He told me this to do this, to have a bar seat. And on the 12-hour set, I thought I didn't need it, but the last 5 hours, I had insane pain in my left heel from my foot, and I just couldn't get rid of it. Like it was a needle in my heel or something all the time. It was really not a nice feeling from standing. You're just standing there, and it is way too long. And but the 24 hours, once again, I was super happy about this tip from Ruben with the bar seat, because that really saved me to I tried to, at least after every hour of standing, I tried to sit for a little bit, even if it's just in half an hour. So like half, like 6-5 tracks, which was not always easy, especially not when I was doing a back-to-back or something like that. You just, this chair was also sometimes in the way, it's not easy, but it definitely saved me. But I think I was like 12 hours in, and I had this moment that I realized, like, oh my God, I'm only halfway. And that was such a weird moment, because it was just the moment that I was playing the back-to-back with Nicole, and I was supposed to enjoy it, but it was a big part of it that I wasn't sure what I was doing. I was like, what am I even doing? So this is ridiculous, and I really needed to get back into it for some reason. I need to have a different mindset, and it took me like 1 or 2 hours maybe even 3 hours, and then it faded, and I was just completely into it again. It was just an in-between moment, something really weird was going on, but after that it was so much fun, and at some point Nicole she went to bed, and she told me that the day after, she told me like, yeah, I was sleeping, and then I woke up, and I checked, and it was still 1 hour to go before you had to end, and I was like, oh, I feel so sorry for him, and she came down, and I was playing the bongos during the so super active, and that's also because I had a good friend of mine who was here also, who really pulled me through it, and he was also having a lot of fun. He was listening on his headphones all the time and just taking care of me also a little bit. He was just giving me some bites and some drinks, so I think that's also quite important, that you have people around you that will just, that you forget about time at some point. It's just it's fun to do, and that's how you also that's how I also wanted to approach the next extent, which is on the 27. I wanted to do it a little bit different because I had these crazy goals last time with the levels. So when I reached that, I was like, okay, so now I have to come up with a really good system for this for a 30-hour stream. So that's why I came up with these gas mixes too, because I think it is in between. I need to just eat a little bit, and just maybe lay for, even if it's just 20 minutes, because you're just sitting on the bar seat or you're standing, and your back just needs to also rest a little bit, and it's also a lot of fun to do some gas mixes too.
Right.
Yeah, some friends over. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's cool. But yeah, it seemed tiring at some point. Like,
oh yes.
It's, and like, did you get any kind of like delirium where you're like, am I in my, where?
Yeah, I think that was the 12-hour moment.
Okay.
That it was like around 9, in between 9 and 10 till 12 or 1. And it was, after that I knew that I still had to go on for 7 hours, but it was different. It felt better. But before that, it was just such a weird, I was in such a weird state, and I didn't even drink. It was only until 5 o'clock, which was like only 3 hours to go, that the first bottle of champagne was opened by a good friend of mine. I promised myself that I wouldn't drink during the set because of, you also get like in a certain state when you're drinking, and I just didn't. Usually I don't care when I have shorter streams. I just drink a beer or have some some wine. That's also nice with streaming. But for that, I just wanted to try to stay sober for as long as possible, just to stay fresh, and because I had a job to do, and it really felt like that. And I was also, the days before that, I was not looking forward to do it, because I just knew that it would be painful, But at the end, it was just I just needed to do it. I just needed to feel how it felt to the others that also already did it, and just afterwards, I just was really happy, of course, that I did it. But 30 hours is something else, though. But I need to stay away for 30 hours. That's it.
Yeah, but well, why 30 hours and why not another 24 hours? Is it because?
It was because of these levels that I did.
Oh,
the crazy the 5 levels. That was, kind of like a hype train. That was how it was built a little bit. So yeah, it's my own fault.
Yeah. People are gonna get used to you doing these long sets every
day. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and that's why sometimes when I have to do like just a 1 hour gas mix or something, feels like what is this? I can only select 15 tracks.
Yeah, like yesterday for Luminosity, like.
Yeah, well, they asked me like, hey, we want you to do a guest mix on our channel. So I was like, yeah, cool. So okay, so it will be 1 hour set, and when do you want to start? I was like, 1 hour set. I can also do 2, 3, even if you want. 3, really? Oh, okay. So yeah, they really liked that, and they didn't know that that I would even pitch it myself to play even longer. So yeah. I think the thing is that if you have 1 hour set, it's just like I said, it is like with vinyl set, and 1 hour set is only 10 records, because these tracks are like 10 minutes long. from back in the day. But yeah, with the new trance right now, the 4-minute tracks, 5 minutes, it's like 15 maybe. But you cannot really in an hour you cannot really do much. You cannot really build. You cannot go on a journey. So it should be at least 2 hours in my opinion. That's just, especially for streams, it just makes more sense in my opinion.
Awesome. Well, before I let you go, I want to talk about, do you have anything exciting other than the 30 hours? Any tracks coming out soon or
Yeah,
anything that you can
yeah,
talk about that maybe when people hear this, they'll definitely look up to support you on Beatport or wherever you release?
yeah. Well, I have this. I just finished a remix for Mark Sixma, and yeah, that one is also I think scheduled now for. Ooh, I don't know if it's even still for this month at the end somewhere, or if it's gonna be for March. I think it's gonna be for March. That's what they. Yeah, that's what they think. What they told me. Apache 2.0 is also coming at the start of April somewhere.
Exciting.
Finally, after such a
Yay.
long time. Because yeah, I've been playing it already for so long, and of course also the back-to-back at Ace.950.
Yeah.
So that one is also finally coming, and I have also one vocal track with Lachi also coming up, and that one is actually coming in May. So the next couple 3 months are gonna be bang.
Was that one of the IDs you played yesterday, maybe?
Oh, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to that. So, well, thank you so much for joining me on this episode and talking to me. I know our schedules have to align from across the world, but I appreciate you doing this. And like I mentioned in the beginning, for those listening, definitely you're available at Fisherman OFC pretty much everywhere on social media, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so all those links will be in the episode description for everybody. And again, thank you, Isaac, for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.